Have you ever, been lying in bed just staring at the ceiling, replaying one simple conversation for hours?
Oh, yeah, just going over it again and again.
Right. Like maybe you sent a text message to a friend and they haven't replied yet. And suddenly you are analyzing every single word you wrote.
You start wondering, like, did I sound too harsh? Or, did I use the wrong emoji?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe you were facing a really big decision, right? Like whether to take a new job or move to a new city. And you just think about it so much that you feel completely paralyzed.
Yeah, you just get stuck.
You would assume that analyzing a problem from every angle would eventually give you an answer. But instead, every thought just creates two more questions.
Right, the more you think, the less certain you actually become.
Exactly. And your brain essentially refuses to let you rest
Mm.
because it feels like there's this unsolved puzzle, keeps looping the same information, just searching for a guarantee that everything will be okay.
Which is exhausting, honestly.
It really is. So, welcome to this Logic Map deep dive. We are looking at the psychology and, the neuroscience behind why our minds do this to us.
And more importantly, how we can fundamentally change our relationship with our own thoughts.
Right, because a lot of people have theories about why they overthink.
Yeah.
Like you might tell yourself, oh, I just have a very analytical mind.
Or, I overthink because I am a deeply caring person.
Yeah. Or even that it's a sign of high intelligence.
Yeah.
But those are very common assumptions, right?
They are, but they actually completely misunderstand what is happening on a biological level. I mean, overthinking is not a personality trait.
And it is definitely not a sign of genius.
No, not at all. It is actually a biological protection mechanism. Your brain is literally trying to defend you.
Wow. So it's a defense mechanism.
Exactly. And if we want to stop this exhausting cycle, we have to move away from what people call, positive thinking.
Which is just telling yourself everything will be fine.
Yeah, positive thinking just tries to silence your fear with false comforts. Instead, we need to move toward clear thinking.
Clear thinking. Okay, so for everyone listening, what does that actually mean?
Well, clear thinking means looking at the situation objectively. You want to actually understand the fear rather than just, hiding from it.
Okay, that makes sense. So if overthinking is a biological protection mechanism, what exactly is the threat? I mean, what is the brain trying to defend you against when you are just, looking at a blank phone screen or a delayed email?
It is defending against uncertainty.
Uncertainty.
Yeah. Most people assume the brain's greatest fear is physical danger. But neurologically, the brain actually hates uncertainty much more than it hates a known danger.
Wait, I could challenge that a bit. Surely the brain fears physical danger the most, right? Like
Yeah.
if I see a bear in the woods, my brain is terrified of the bear, not the uncertainty of the bear.
Well, let's look closely at how the brain actually processes that scenario. When you see the bear, your brain knows exactly what the threat is.
Right, it's a huge angry bear.
Exactly. The visual information is processed, and your brain immediately triggers a specific response like run, hide, or fight.
Okay, so the threat is clear and the action is clear.
Right. The fear is intense, obviously, but it is focused and actionable. Now, imagine you are walking in those same dark woods and you hear a twig snap wildly behind you.
Oh, that's terrifying.
But you don't see a bear, you see nothing at all. That is uncertainty.
Ah, I see. So the brain cannot calculate the odds of survival because it literally doesn't know what is hiding in the bushes.
Precisely. Psychologists call this the intolerance of uncertainty. Think about it like a broken arm. When you have a broken arm, the pain is severe, right?
Yeah, it hurts a lot.
But you know what it is and you know how to fix it. But when you are waiting for the results of, let's say, a vague medical test, the physical pain might be zero
Right, but the psychological agony is much worse.
because your mind desperately wants a concrete answer. In fact, studies show that humans often prefer a guaranteed bad outcome over a completely uncertain outcome.
Wow. It feels very similar to watching a suspense movie, honestly. Like the monster you cannot see in the dark is always infinitely scarier than when the monster is finally standing out in the daylight.
That is a perfect analogy. When the monster is visible on the screen, your brain deals with reality. But when the monster is hiding, your brain is forced to use imagination as a survival tool.
So it's trying to predict every single way the monster could attack.
Exactly. It does that so it can prepare you for the absolute worst.
Okay, so I understand the evolutionary fear of a snapped twig in the woods. That makes total sense. But how does that relate to a modern scenario? Like an unanswered text message?
Or a boss who says, hey, let's talk tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. None of those modern situations involve physical danger. Why does the brain react with the exact same level of panic?
Because biologically, the brain uses the exact same alarm system for both scenarios. It's called the amygdala.
Right, the amygdala.
Yeah, it's the primitive fear center of the brain. And it constantly scans your environment for threats. To the amygdala, missing information is a threat.
So an unanswered text message is literally a gap in your reality.
Yes. And the brain wants to fill that gap to protect you. So it starts creating these worst case scenarios.
Like, oh no, they are angry with me, or I ruined the friendship.
Exactly. It feels terrible to experience, but your brain is actually trying to help by bracing you for social rejection.
Because to early humans, social rejection was just as dangerous as a predator, right? You'd be kicked out of the tribe.
Exactly. Without the tribe, you wouldn't survive, so the alarm system goes off.
Okay, so it is bracing me, but it is leaving me completely exhausted. I mean, if my brain's ultimate goal is just to protect me, why does the actual process of overthinking feel so miserable? I just end up feeling trapped in my own head.
You feel trapped because you are caught in a psychological loop. It's known as the illusion of control.
The illusion of control, what does that mean?
Well, human beings are naturally driven to solve problems through physical action. Think about it. When you are cold, what do?
I put on a jacket.
Right. And when you are hungry, you eat. You take a physical action to change your reality, the problem is solved, and your brain relaxes.
But I cannot force someone to reply to my email faster. And I can't, speed up time to get to tomorrow's meeting with my boss.
Exactly. There is no physical action available for you to take.
So what does the brain do?
When you cannot control the external world, your mind substitutes thinking for doing. It starts spinning internally.
So it just thinks and plans and analyzes.
Yes, because the sheer effort of thinking feels like you are doing something productive. It creates a really powerful illusion that you are managing the problem.
Even when you have literally zero influence over the outcome,
Right.
it is a bit like sitting in a rocking chair, isn't it? Like you push yourself back and forth, you're using a lot of physical energy, and you are moving constantly.
But you're not actually going anywhere.
Exactly. After an hour of aggressive rocking, the chair remains in the exact same spot.
That is exactly how overthinking works. Your mind stays incredibly busy, but your life stays entirely still.
Which is why you can spend an entire evening just sitting quietly on your sofa, worrying about a job interview, and you go to bed feeling completely physically and mentally drained.
Because your brain burned a significant amount of metabolic energy trying to control a future event that hasn't even happened yet.
Okay, I see why that wastes energy. But wait, isn't the brain supposed to predict the future? Like, if human beings didn't anticipate problems, we never would have survived.
That's true. The brain has to function as a prediction machine in order for us to navigate the world.
Right, we needed to anticipate that touching a hot stove will cause a burn.
Or that stepping into traffic is fatal. It is a very effective prediction machine.
So what's the problem?
The critical flaw in this biological system is how the brain handles incomplete data. When information is missing, the brain does not just guess randomly.
It systematically guesses negatively.
Yes, it always goes to the worst case scenario.
But why does it default to the negative?
Yeah.
Why not imagine that my boss wants to talk tomorrow because she is giving me a massive promotion?
Well, it comes down to evolutionary pressure and how our ancestors survived. In evolutionary biology, there is a concept regarding how organisms make errors.
Okay, how so?
Imagine an early human heard a rustling sound in the tall grass. They had two choices, right? They could assume it is just the wind, or they could assume it is a dangerous predator.
Okay, and if they assume it is the wind and they are wrong, they get eaten by a tiger.
Exactly. That is a fatal error. Game over.
But if they assume it is a predator and it is actually just the wind,
Then they just get a brief spike in heart rate. They're stressed, they run away, but they live.
so evolution strongly rewarded the humans who made false positive errors, the ones who assumed danger when there was none.
Precisely. We are the descendants of the most anxious, hypervigilant early humans. It provided a massive survival advantage to always imagine the worst case scenario.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. But in modern life, this evolutionary trait means our thoughts constantly function as, unreliable storytellers.
Yes, exactly. We end up confusing the objective facts of our daily life with the frightening stories our brain is inventing to keep us safe.
So, a delayed email from a client is just a fact.
Right. It has no emotion attached to it at all. It's just a delay.
But the story your brain tells is, the client hates my proposal and I'm going to lose the contract.
Exactly. The fact is neutral, but the story is terrifying.
That is such a crucial distinction for everyone listening. The fact is neutral. The story is what hurts.
Consider how two different people can make the exact same mistake at work. One person's brain tells the story, I am a total failure and everyone knows it.
Oh man, yeah.
But the other person's brain tells the story, I found one method that doesn't work, so I will adjust my strategy tomorrow.
The external event is completely identical.
But the psychological experience is entirely different.
Okay, so if our brains are biologically wired to tell us these negative stories to protect us from uncertainty, how do we actually break out of this loop?
That is the big question.
Because if uncertainty is never going to go away, what is the clear thinking approach to an unanswered email or a looming life decision?
Well, a highly effective framework for this actually comes from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus.
Okay, Stoicism. Let's get into it.
Over 2,000 years ago, he built a philosophy around a very rigorous rule called the dichotomy of control.
The dichotomy of control.
Right. This basically means aggressively separating what is strictly within our control from what is entirely outside our control.
That concept sounds logical, but, putting it into practice in the middle of a modern anxiety spiral seems incredibly difficult.
Oh, it is.
Like, how do you actually apply that when you are stressing over a real problem?
It requires you to be brutally honest with yourself about your own limitations. You have to look at the situation and divide it.
Okay, divide it how?
Well, you cannot control what someone else thinks of you. You cannot control whether the macroeconomy crashes. You cannot control if a company decides to hire you.
Right, those are completely out of my hands.
And when you spend mental energy on those things, you are just feeding that illusion of control we talked about earlier.
So what can I control?
What you actually can control is how thoroughly you prepare for the interview, how honestly you communicate, and how much effort you put into your current tasks today.
It really highlights the difference between rumination and actual problem solving.
Exactly.
It makes me think of that analogy about walking around the base of a mountain versus actually climbing the mountain.
Yes, that's a great way to visualize it.
Like rumination is just doing laps around the bottom. You're walking this endless emotional loop, staring up at the peak, sweating and stressing, but you aren't gaining any altitude.
You're just tiring yourself out.
Right. But problem solving is taking one single step up the rock face.
And when you ruminate, the brain logs the issue as a continuous open threat. It literally keeps the biological alarm bells ringing.
So how do you turn the alarm off?
The only way to turn off that alarm is to show the brain that you are moving from the realm of imagination into the realm of reality.
Okay, so for the person listening right now, when they realize they are just walking in circles around the mountain, what is the specific mental switch they need to flip?
They need to force their brain to stop circling and start climbing.
Right, but how exactly?
You ask yourself one specific grounding question. What is the next useful action I can take?
What is the next useful action I can take?
Exactly, and notice the phrasing there. You are not asking how to solve the entire problem.
You are not asking what will happen next year.
Right, you are only asking for the very next physical step.
But wait, what if the problem is massive? Like, if I am stressing about potential bankruptcy, taking a walk or writing a list doesn't solve my financial crisis. How is a small action useful?
It is useful because it breaks the neurological paralysis. If you are agonizing over a massive project, the next useful action might literally just be opening a blank document and typing the title.
Just the title.
Yes, or if you are stressing over a fight with a friend, the action might be putting your phone in another room and drinking a glass of water.
So it does not have to solve the overarching problem at all.
No, not at first. It just has to shift your brain state.
I want to dig into the mechanics of that because that is fascinating. Why does something as trivial as drinking a glass of water or writing a single sentence stop a massive psychological spiral? How does that actually work inside the brain?
It's all about which brain networks are actively firing. When you overthink, you are heavily engaging the brain's default mode network and the amygdala.
Which process all those abstract thoughts and fears.
Exactly, self-reflection and fear. But when you choose to take a concrete physical action, you force your brain to shift resources to the executive function and motor networks.
Oh, wow. So you are demanding that your brain process the present physical moment.
Yes. Reality begins to override imagination. Action sends a chemical signal to your body that you are no longer a passive victim waiting for uncertainty to strike.
You become an active participant in your environment.
Exactly.
The physical movement proves to the brain that we aren't helpless. But, people usually operate backward, don't they?
They really do.
They wait until they feel completely confident and certain before they take action. They think, I will send this difficult email when I feel less anxious about it.
And that is a fundamental misunderstanding of behavioral psychology.
Because the anxiety isn't going to just go away on its own.
Right. Confidence is a byproduct of action, not a prerequisite for it.
A byproduct, not a prerequisite. I love that.
Every time you take a small step into uncertainty and survive the experience, your brain updates its data.
It learns that reality is usually much more manageable than the catastrophic stories it invented.
Exactly. Experience fills the empty spaces that fear usually occupies.
We've covered a lot of ground today on this deep dive. We started by seeing how overthinking is really just a biological defense against the unknown.
Right, the brain trying to protect us.
Then we looked at the illusion of control and why our brains default to negative predictions.
The false positive errors from evolution.
Yes, exactly. And finally, we discussed how small, immediate actions force the brain back into reality. So zooming out, how does understanding all of this shift our long-term perspective on life?
Well, it requires us to abandon a very common but impossible goal.
Which is?
Most people unconsciously structure their lives around trying to eliminate uncertainty entirely.
Right. They believe if they just gather enough information, plan perfectly, and think long enough, they will finally reach a state of complete security.
But uncertainty is a permanent feature of existence. You can never gather enough data to predict the future perfectly. It's impossible.
So the real objective is learning how to tolerate uncertainty. We have to become people who can live well, make decisions, and function effectively, even when we do not have all the answers.
And that changes the philosophical definition of courage.
How so?
Well, courage is not reaching a magical state where you no longer feel fear or doubt.
Right, because the fear is biologically wired into us?
Exactly. Courage is simply deciding to take the next useful action while the fear and doubt are sitting right beside you.
That is powerful. To distill all this for our listeners today, what is the single most practical insight someone can take away to use the very next time they find themselves spiraling?
It is the realization that you do not have to believe every story your mind creates.
You are the observer of your thoughts, not the thoughts themselves.
Exactly. The next time your mind starts racing, giving you a dozen terrible predictions about the future, I want you to pause. Just take a breath.
And what should they ask themselves?
Ask yourself this question: is this a fact or is this a prediction?
Is this a fact or is this a prediction? So like a quiet friend is a fact, but the idea that they secretly hate you is a prediction.
Right. A delayed flight is a fact. The idea that your entire vacation is ruined is a prediction.
That is such a helpful tool.
Yeah.
Separate the two and you instantly regain clarity.
You pull your brain out of the imagination and anchor it back in reality.
I want to leave everyone listening with one final thought to explore on your own after we sign off today. Look back at your past. Your own history provides a massive mountain of objective evidence about your resilience.
That is so true.
You have already survived 100% of the problems you previously overthought. The terrible predictions your brain made rarely came true. And when difficult things did happen, you navigated them.
You handled it.
You really did. So, what if the uncertainty you are trying so hard to run away from today is actually the exact environment required for your wisdom, your adaptability, and your maturity to grow?
Because growth only happens in the space of the unknown. Without uncertainty, there is no opportunity to develop resilience.
Exactly. So tonight or tomorrow, if you find yourself staring at the ceiling, analyzing every detail of a conversation, or agonizing over an unanswered message, remember that your brain is just trying to protect you.
Don't fight the feeling, but don't blindly believe the story it is telling you either.
Find the fact, find the next useful action, and step forward. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you meet whatever comes next with clear thinking and quiet confidence, knowing you have the logical tools to handle the uncertainty.
We'll see you next time on Logic Map.